This is a narrative of the Olympic stadiums that I have visited, along with the stories, the triumphs, and the tragedies that went with them. It is about the men and women who dreamed of immortality, a Sac and Fox Indian, the first. It is about a human locomotive whose driving spirit and overwhelming personality that would make him, along with the others, legends of the games. This is the 1896 Olympic Stadium in Athens, Greece. The stadium was reconstructed over the remains of an ancient Greek stadium originally built in 330 BC. It is the only stadium in the world built entirely of marble. Designed long before athletic stadiums were standardized, the Greeks used the hairpin model. The track was 333 meters around. The first Olympic champion of the modern age was James Connolly of the United States in the triple jump. The Greeks introduced a new event to the track and field competition, especially for the Olympics. It was called the marathon. After an Athenian victory over a much larger Persian force at the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC, the Greeks sent an unknown soldier back to Athens to report news of the victory. On April 10th, 17 runners, 13 of them Greek, honored that run by covering the same 25 miles as the unknown Greek soldier. The first athlete to enter the stadium was countryman Spiridon Lewis. Overwhelmed with excitement, Prince Constantine and Prince George accompanied Lewis to the finish. Spiridon Lewis became the first Olympic marathon champion, running 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 50 seconds. This is the 1904 Olympic Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. These were the first Olympics held in the Western Hemisphere, and Francis Field is the second oldest Olympic stadium still in existence. The track was 1/3 of a mile around, 536 meters. The games were originally awarded to Chicago, but political pressure from President Theodore Roosevelt and the Louisiana Purchase Exposition Company forced Baron de Coubertin to move the games to St. Louis to coincide with the 1904 World's Fair. The games were disorganized and poorly promoted. With so many Olympic and World Fair events going on simultaneously, some athletes didn't realize they were actually competing in Olympic events. Baron de Coubertin vowed never to host another Olympic Games with the World's Fair again. The feature event of the Games was the marathon. 32 athletes from 4 nations started in the middle of the afternoon in 90-degree heat and ran on dusty dirt roads. The only water on the course was a well at the 11-mile mark. Only 14 runners would finish. Although aided along the way, the winner was Thomas Hicks of the United States, covering the still 25-mile marathon distance in 3 hours, 28 minutes, and 53 seconds. This is the 1912 Olympic Stadium in Stockholm, Sweden. The track was 388 meters around. Hans Kolominian of Finland dominated the distance races, winning the 5,000-meter run, 10,000-meter run, and cross-country run. At the time, Finland was part of the Russian Empire. Although there was a separate Finnish team competing, the Russian flag was flown after each victory, leading Kolominian to say, "I almost wished I hadn't won." The star of the games was American Sac and Fox Indian Jim Thorpe. Called Bright Pack in his native tongue, Thorpe would compete in 4 events during the Olympics, taking 4th in the high jump, 7th in the long jump. He was the Olympic champion in the 5-event pentathlon and the Olympic champion in the 10-event decathlon. It would be the only decathlon he would ever compete in.
At the award ceremonies, King Gustav V of Sweden presented Thorpe the medals, shaking his hand and saying, "Sir, you are the greatest athlete in the world."
In 1913, Jim Thorpe was stripped of his medals. In the summer of 1910 and 11, he played semi-pro baseball in the Eastern Carolina League, breaking the strict amateur rules of the day. He would never fully recover. The 1912 Olympics were by far the most organized and successful to this point. Baron Pierre de Coubertin called it an enchantment and for the first time felt confident that the Games had a secure future. Little did he know that in 4 years a war would interrupt his Games. This is the 1920 Olympic Stadium in Antwerp, Belgium. The roof and the foundation on this side of the stadium is all that remains of the original facility. Once oval, the stadium now has 4 separate grandstands. The track, since removed, was 389.8 meters around. With the 1916 Olympics in Berlin canceled due to World War I, these were the first Olympics held in 8 years. These were the first Olympics where the Olympic oath was given and the Olympic flag was flown. After winning 3 gold medals in Stockholm, Hans Koulumies of Finland, now free of Russian rule, earned his 4th gold medal by winning the marathon. Finland's Paavo Nurmi started his legendary Olympic career by winning 3 gold and 1 silver medal. American Charlie Paddock, in his unusual style of leaping at the finish line, won the 100-meter dash. Another American, Frank Foss, set the world record in the pole vault, vaulting 13 feet, 5 inches. This is the 1924 Olympic Stadium in Paris, France. This is the second time the Games were held in Paris, with the first being the Games of the Second Olympiad in 1900. This was the first time the Games were held in this stadium. These would be the last Olympics that Baron Pierre de Coubertin would organize. The track was 500 meters around and would be the last time a track other than the now standard 400 meters would be used. American Harold Osborne set the Olympic record in winning the high jump that would last for 12 years. He would set the world record in the decathlon. Racing 7 times in 6 days, the star of the Games was Finland's Paavo Nurmi. In the span of 1 hour, he won gold medals in the 1,500 and 5,000 meter runs. He captured gold in the 3,000 meter team race and individual and team gold in the cross-country run. Britain's Harold Abrahams upset the American favorites to win the 100-meter dash. With the qualifying rounds of the 100-meter dash being on a Sunday, Scotland's Eric Liddell, a devout Christian, refused to run in a specialty event. He would go on to win the 400-meter dash in world record time. Both Liddell and Abrahams were immortalized in the movie Chariots of Fire. While serving in the ministry in China during World War II, Eric Liddell would lose his life in a Japanese internment camp. This is the 1928 Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. The 40,000-seat stadium was built on reclaimed marshland. 4,500 pilings were driven into the ground to support the stadium's foundation. Due to failing health, Baron de Coubertin did not attend the Olympics and would never attend another Olympics again. There were many firsts during these Olympics. For the first time, a flame was lit throughout the Games on this 250-foot tower behind the main grandstand. A message board was installed to help keep spectators better informed, and for the first time, pigeons were released. To the dismay of many, including Baron de Coubertin and Pope Pius XI, was the inclusion of women in the track and field competition. The first women's Olympic champion was Elizabeth Robinson of the United States in the 100-meter dash. The 16-year-old, second from the left, confided afterwards that she was so nervous she originally brought 2 left shoes with her to the starting line. Paavo Nurmi won his 9th and final gold medal, winning the 10,000-meter run. Little did he know these would be his last Olympics. Long overshadowed by Nurmi, countryman Billy Ritola won his 5th gold medal of his own, winning the 5,000-meter run. This is the 1936 Olympic Stadium in Berlin, Germany. Although virtually untouched during World War II, many changes have been made to the stadium, including a roof covering the grandstand. When the Olympics were awarded to Berlin, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party had yet come into power. The Nazis originally opposed the Olympics, calling it a festival dominated by Jews. Once in power, however, propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels convinced Hitler to host the Games to promote racial and Aryan supremacy. Jesse Owens, future Congressman Ralph Metcalf, and 8 other black Americans, called African auxiliaries by the Nazi Party, won 11 medals between them, destroying the Aryan supremacy myth right in front of Hitler's eyes. This was the first Olympic Games where the torch relay was run. The final torchbearer and the first lighter of the Olympic flame was German 1500-meter runner Fritz Sjogren. It's been debated over the years whether the German Lutz Long actually helped Jesse Owens in the long jump competition or not. The fact remains, during the Olympic Games, they fast became friends. When Owens won the long jump competition, the first person to congratulate him, with the entire Nazi Party in attendance, was the German Long himself.
You can melt down all the medals and cups I have, and they wouldn't be a plating for the 24-carat friendship I felt for Lutz Long at that moment.
On July 14, 1943, during the Allied invasion of Sicily, Lutz Long was killed in action. This is the 1952 Olympic Stadium in Helsinki, Finland. The stadium was constructed in 1938 in order for Helsinki to host the 1940 Olympic Games. With the outbreak of World War II, the Olympic Games were canceled. With the war over, the International Olympic Committee met in 1947 and once again awarded the Olympic Games to Helsinki. On the condition that they have their own Olympic village, to keep their athletes from being contaminated by the Western world, the Soviet Union competed in the Olympics for the first time. The final torchbearer was 9-time Olympic gold medalist Paavo Nurmi. Nurmi lit the cauldron for the opening ceremonies, while 4-time Olympic gold medalist Hans Koleminian lit the flame in the Olympic Tower that stayed lit throughout the Games. After winning the decathlon title in 1948 as a 17-year-old, American Bob Mathias defended his title with a world record score. Cleveland's Harrison Dillard won the 4x100-meter relay and the 110-meter high hurdles, giving him 4 gold medals during his illustrious Olympic career. The star of the 1952 Olympic Games was Czechoslovakian distance runner Emil Zatopek. Zatopek won the 5,000-meter, 10,000-meter, and marathon run. This is the 1972 Olympic Stadium in Munich, Germany. Called the Happy Games by the Germans, in stark contrast to the Berlin Olympics of 1936, hosted by the Nazis. The seats were colored green to promote a more neutral and friendly atmosphere. These would be the last Olympics until Seoul, South Korea in 1988, without a boycott. After taking 5th place in the 10,000-meter run 7 days earlier, American Frank Shorter took to the streets of Munich to capture the gold medal in the marathon, running 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 19 seconds. The victory by Shorter was the first by an American in the marathon since Johnny Hayes in 1908. In a stirring stretch run, Canton, Ohio's Dave Waddle defeated Soviet favorite Yevhen Arzanov to capture gold at 800 meters. The victories by Shorter and Waddle would be the last gold medals won by an American male in the distance races. On September 5th, a Palestinian terrorist organization called Black September infiltrated the Olympic Village. In the ensuing conflict, 11 Israeli coaches and athletes were massacred. This is the 1976 Olympic Stadium in Montreal, Canada. The stadium became a huge albatross around the city of Montreal's neck, with final cost being $2.1 billion, over 4 times the original estimate. When a non-sanctioned New Zealand rugby team played in apartheid South Africa, the rest of the African nations protested. When the IOC refused to ban New Zealand from the Games, the Africans packed up and left, denying the great runners of the Highlands a chance at Olympic glory. The star of the Games was Finland's Lasse Viren. Viren defeated Carlos Lopes of Portugal to win the 10,000-meter run. He defeated Dick Wax of New Zealand to win the 5,000-meter run, and shadowed American Frank Shorter to take 5th in the marathon run.
Good field, like I say, tactical racer. Did what he had to win. The competition was probably, maybe he turned in better times than he did, but he just raced. He just, at the time, did what he needed to do to win the race. Time was probably irrelevant to him as much as just winning the race was. So, impressive double even by today's standards. So.
Cuba's Alberto Juantorena won the gold medal in the 400-meter dash, then set the world record in the 800-meter run. Edwin Moses of the United States broke the world record in the 400-meter hurdles, defeating fellow American Mike Shine. World record holder John Walker of New Zealand won the gold medal at 1,500 meters, defeating Belgium's Ivo van Dam. The silver medalist at 800 meters also, van Dam was tragically killed in an automobile accident just 4 months later. This is the 1996 Olympic Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. This marked the 100th anniversary of the Olympic Games in the modern age. It was the 4th time the Olympics were held in the United States and the 6th time on the North American continent. The final torchbearer and lighter of the Olympic flame was the world's most recognizable athlete, Muhammad Ali. On July 27th, a pipe bomb was exploded in Centennial Park in Atlanta, killing 1 and injuring 111. The star of the Games was Michael Johnson of the United States.
What I remember most about the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta is Michael Johnson accomplishing the unprecedented dynamic double. 2 gold medal victories in the 200-meter and 400-meter dashes. I watched him get into the blocks 8 times in 4 days against the best sprinters in the world to become the first and only sprinter to win both events in the same Olympics, establishing records in both, and the first ever Olympian to successfully defend the 400-meter title.
This is the 2000 Olympic Stadium in Sydney, Australia. These were the first Olympics held in the 21st century and the second Olympics held in the Southern Hemisphere. The seating capacity for the Olympic Stadium was 112,000 spectators. The final torchbearer was Australian Aborigine Kathy Freeman. When Freeman lit the flame, she electrified the crowd. In the 400-meter dash, she electrified the nation.
Freeman's got work to do here. Kathy lifting, goes up to Graham, takes the lead, looks a winner, draws away from Graham and Mary. This is a famous victory, a magnificent performance. What a legend, what a champion.
Anya O'Sullivan hasn't given up. She's fighting hard. She's fighting hard. The gap is closing, but Java goes again. Gabby Java is going to win this one.
This is the 2004 Olympic Stadium in Athens, Greece. This was the second time the Games were held in Athens, the first being the inaugural Games of 1896. The shot put competition was held in Olympia, Greece, the first time the Games were held there in over 1,600 years. Italy's Stefano Baldini won the men's marathon, finishing in the same stadium as Spiridon Lewis 108 years earlier. The star of the 2004 Olympic Games was Hikam El Guroush of Morocco. After disappointing finishes in 1996 in Atlanta and 2000 in Sydney, El Guroush defeated then Kenyan Bernard Lagat to take gold in the 1,500-meter run. 4 days later, El Guroush came back to defeat 10,000-meter winner Kenenisa Bekele in the 5,000-meter run. El Guroush became the first athlete to win the 1,500 5,000-meter double since Pablo Nurmi in 1924. So this ends the narrative of the Olympic stadiums that I have visited, along with the stories of the men and the women who were faster, higher, and stronger, and who earned the right to be called legends of the Games.